Hey, this is Mr. James, and we're going to do a quick review of how to graph on a coordinate grid. We're going to, number one, learn how to plot points. Number two, we're going to remember how to write coordinates. Number three, we're going to learn how to label quadrants. And number four, we're going to talk about how to use some inequalities when looking at quadrants. So let's start with number one, plotting points. Right, so the most important thing to remember when plotting points is how points are written. Right, we start with our parentheses. Then we have a number. The first number is called our x-coordinate, our comma, second number called the y-coordinate, and end with parentheses. Right, so we've got this x-coordinate and the y-coordinate. The x-coordinate always comes first. If you remember that x always comes before y in the alphabet, so x comes before y in the coordinates. Okay. But what do x and y mean? Well, we've got these axes here. We've got this x-axis, right? That's the horizontal axis going side to side, left to right. And we've got the y-axis going up and down, vertical. So let me label those here. Here's our x-axis and here's our y-axis. And a good way to remember the y-axis from the x-axis is that the letter y has this little stem right here. Going up and down, so you can use that to remember that the y-axis goes up and down, and x goes left to right. Now, where they cross, where the x and the y-axis cross, is called the origin. Right? It's right in the middle, okay? And it has the coordinate 0, 0. Okay? It's not going anywhere on the x-axis. It's not going up or down on the y-axis. It's right in the middle at 0, 0. From there, anytime we go anytime we go right on the x-axis like this, okay, we're going positive, okay, so this would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And anytime we're going to the left on the x-axis, we're going negative. So this is like -1, -2, -3, -4, etc. Right? Same thing on the y-axis. Up means positive, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and down is negative. Right? -1, -2, -3, -4. Down is negative. So to remember that, let me label this with -x. Okay, that's negative in the x direction, and I'll put a -y down here. Right? That's negative in the y direction. So back to number one. Plot that point A. So we're going to plot 2, 3. So starting at our origin, okay, we're going to go 2 spaces to the right. So 1, 2. Okay, positive in the x direction because 2 is our first number there. It's our x coordinate, and then we're going to go up 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and right here is where we'll draw that point. 2, 3. A, 2, 3. There's A. Let's do B. Let's do B in blue. So -2, 5. So this time we start our origin, and we're going to go to the left 2 spaces down to -2 in the x direction, and up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the y direction. Okay, and this will be point B, or -2, 5. Okay, that's point B. Let's look at point C. Now point C starts with a 0 as our x-coordinate. That means that we're going to start at, where are we? We're going to start at the origin, okay, just like we did before. And we're not going to move left or right on the x-axis because our x-coordinate is 0. Instead, we're going to stay right there and go down 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And right there is point C. Point C, 0, -7. So that point is right on the y-axis. It's got an x-coordinate of 0, and it's right on the y-axis. Here we go. We've done A, B, and C. Let's talk about writing coordinates going backwards now. Let's look at point D. Point D is right here. Okay, point D. So point D, well, the x number comes first, the x-coordinate is first, so let's take a look at how far that is left or right from the origin. So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay, it is 7 over on the x-axis, so this coordinate will be -7, okay? And then how how far down is it on the y-axis? Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 4 down, so that'll be a coordinate of -4. So -7 on the x-axis, -4 on the y-axis, and we've got the coordinate -7, comma -4. Okay. How about for E? Well, E, let's see, it's right on the x-axis. So from the origin, I have to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 for my -9 for my x-coordinate. But in the y direction, well, it's right on the x-axis. I don't have to go up or down. The coordinate is 0. Okay. One thing to note is that these coordinates are also called ordered pairs, or ordered pairs, because they're a pair of numbers in a specific order. They're ordered pairs with an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate. Great. Let's take a look at 3. Let's label some quadrants. Label some quadrants. Let's do this in a dark red. Okay, label some quadrants. So each of the 4 parts of the graph has a different name. Right up here, this quadrant, this quarter of the graph, is called quadrant 1. We mark that with a Roman numeral I for 1. And in quadrant 1, that's the quadrant where all of the x-coordinates and all of the y-coordinates are positive. So we've got a positive x and a positive y. Whatever points we have in here will both be positive. Okay. Moving to the left, we've got quadrant 2 with a Roman numeral 2, II. Right? And in that quadrant, our x values are negative, and our y values, just like before, are still positive. So any numbers in this quadrant, kind of like B, will have a negative value for your x coordinate and a positive value for your y coordinate, just like B with -2, 5, positive, negative. Going around counterclockwise, we've got quadrant 3. Quadrant 3 has both a negative x coordinate and a negative y coordinate. Kind of like D. D we said was -7, comma -4. It's in quadrant 3. Both the x and the y values are negative. And lastly, coming around the circle, we have quadrant 4. Okay, quadrant 4, where the x values are positive. Okay, those x values are positive, and the y values are negative. Y values are negative. And we didn't have any points in quadrant 4, but if we did, that would have a positive x value and a negative y value. Anything that's not in these quadrants, we call either on one of the axes. For example, E, point E over here, is not in quadrant 2 or 3, but it's right on the x-axis. Right? It's sitting right on that x-axis. And something like C is not in quadrant 3 or 4. Instead, it's right on the y-axis. Right? And again, anything at 0, 0, right in the middle, we call the origin, where the 2 axes cross. All right. Let's erase some of that and figure out what quadrant. Okay. Let me write the quadrants again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So question 4. Okay. What quadrant is y greater than 0, okay, and x less than 0? Well, let's see. If y was greater than 0, right here, if y was greater than 0, it would be positive. Okay, it'd be positive. And if x was less than 0, it would be negative. So what quadrant has a positive y value but a negative x value? Positive y value for a negative x value. Well, let's see. Y is positive anywhere above the origin, and x is negative any place to the left of the origin, which means that anywhere in quadrant 2 will have a positive y value and a negative x value. So the answer to this question is quadrant 2. Quadrant 2. All right. That ends our review of the coordinate grid. I hope you've remembered how to do some things from maybe last year, maybe from middle school, and you're now ready to work on the IXL assignment. Thanks, and I'll see you tomorrow.